What's going on, Law Nation? So glad you made it and that you're taking the time to learn and grow with me today. If you're ready to start creating your own economy and taking back control of your time and your life, start by going to attorneybydesign.com and download the Freedom Blueprint. All right, kiddos, let me ask you something. Are you having fun? Like real fun? Are you enjoying the journey? Enjoying the journey isn't just my sign off, it's the way I like to live my life. Now, you need to set goals. You should have the end game in mind before you start out on any endeavor, but it shouldn't be all about just the achievement of those goals. You have to find fun and love in the day to day. Take life with a grain of salt and live with a sense of humor. Enjoy the people around you and the experiences you have with them. I just believe that we, as high achieving, driven individuals, need to remember that. Today's guest, my buddy Chris Wittfeldt, is a perfect example of someone who is immensely talented and driven, yet purposefully reserves time for his hobbies and to have fun. He builds his business around his life rather than the other way around. Chad is an entrepreneur, master marketer, and real estate investor who has syndicated over $40 million in apartments. He's passionate about freedom, flexibility, and fun. He lives life on the edge and tackles just about anything with wheels on it. All right, let's go.
This is the Passive Income Attorney Podcast, where you'll discover the secrets and strategies of the ultra wealthy on how they build streams of passive income to give them the freedom we all want. Attorney Seth Bradley will help you end the cycle of trading your time for money so you can make money while you sleep. Start living the good life on your own terms. Now, here's your host, Seth Bradley.
My man, Chad, what's going on, brother?
What's up, Seth? Appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, welcome to the show. Well, let's dive right in. Tell me what's your story. Feel free to take it back as far as you want.
As far as I want. Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's start with the most pivotal place. Let's start there.
All right.
So let's go back to when I was 17 years old and I got my first job.
All right.
I started working at this country club in Michigan, and it's a private country club. Probably about $100,000 a year to be there, with your dues and your minimums and all that stuff. So we're talking fairly high net worth environment. And I was bussing tables, right? And I did all the things that you're supposed to do to be a good employee. And I started working in the men's grill. And the men's grill is where like the husbands, the ballers went to go and drink and gamble and get away from their wives, right? And that's where like their real side came out. That's where you started hearing conversations that you don't hear it in other places. Like that was their comfort zone, right? So really quickly, I learned there life's all about relationships, right? And I learned how to network and ask the right questions. But more importantly, it opened up a whole world of income and impact and freedom. It taught me that very quickly. These guys, started to know I was a car guy. I loved cars, right? And every other week, somebody came in with a brand new allocation, brand new Porsche 911, brand new, back then the C7 came out, brand new Audi RS7. And we're talking like the first allocations in the country. And these guys were handing me the keys to their car, brand new car. And I'll never forget the day this guy hands me the keys to his C7 Z06, and it has 23 miles on it. He says, Chad, go roast a burnout. I want to take a video of it. 27 miles, dude. And you know what? I grew up in a fairly middle-class family. So everyone was driving the Chevy Malibus and things of that nature. And so seeing that firsthand, I was like, okay, there's a different world here. And that's when I started asking questions. They're all business owners, real estate owners, high up executives, CEOs, all that good stuff. And so that's what started my entrepreneurial and investing journey when I realized, all right, something's going on here.
Yeah, I love that, man. Yeah, seeing people that had, quote unquote, made it and they had a ton of money, disposable income, it changed your mindset from an early age. That's awesome, man. It took me a long time. I mean, it's been pretty recently where I was like, trying to get away from the 9 to 5 to your 65 W-2 type of mindset and just,
Yeah,
kind of having that abundance mindset where, entrepreneurially you can create your own economy and come up and money just flows to you, and you can create it.
absolutely, man. Yeah, no, 100%. And then even like the other point to it was just the simple fact that it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday afternoon,
Yeah.
right? Like these
Yeah.
guys are doing whatever they want, right? That freedom is like remarkable. And so that was like, all right, man, I need that. And that is when I knew I couldn't be a normal, employee to a 9 to 5 with no owner. I knew that day, I'm like, that's not for me, man. So
Yeah.
that's where it all started. That's where it all started. And then take it one step further. One of the guys I had a really, really good relationship with at that country club, he was a hedge fund manager in the stock market. And so no matter what he did, whether I gave him an iced tea or served him his food or whatever, he gave me $10 every single time. And so by the end of the day, I'm making $150 off this dude. And one day I asked him, I said, hey man, instead of giving me $5, $10 every time I see you, I want some advice about investing in the stock market. And he continued to tip me.
Yeah.
But every day I saw him, he had one new piece of advice about investing. And so I got started investing in the equities pretty young. And then, yeah, it's just evolved from there, really.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, how has that investing thesis kind of changed over time? You started investing in traditional stocks. What investments, what did that look like? And do you still invest in stocks? Have you switched to other avenues, or what does that look like now?
Yeah, I do still have some stock investments, but once I started to learn about the rule of Wall Street, which is really simply put, the younger you are, the larger financial risks you can take due to the simple nature that you have the time allocation, right? I have an extra 40 years to keep making money and keep investing and keep growing my wealth that somebody who's 65, they don't have that allocation, right? So once I started to learn about that, I kind of got bored on like the whole mutual funds, index fund stuff. Like it just wasn't as rewarding for me as some other avenues. So then I started to trade Forex, which,
Okay.
simple enough, right? Like it has like a terrible reputation, but I was trading Forex on margin, dude. And I was like crushing it, and I still do, right? So then cryptocurrency came around, started getting involved with that. And, I mean, it's one of those things like while you're learning it, like learning how to trade price action and things of that nature, it's fairly full time. But once you have it in the bag, like I probably look at my charts like an hour a day tops. So then, I had plenty of time, and that's when I got started in real estate. So.
Gotcha. I don't know shit about trading cryptocurrencies. So
Yeah.
was it like an easy transition from investing like in stocks to Forex to crypto? Is there any kind of like transferable skills there or what?
A little bit, but not really, because both Forex, like currency markets, are extremely volatile compared to your typical, stocks.
Right.
Extreme volatility. And so they behave and they trade a lot differently. And the simple fact that stock markets for us in the United States are fairly well regulated based on how you trade and at what level, right? So in order to be a day trader, I think you have to have like at least $25,000 equity in your account. There's these first in, first out rules. Dude, like the currency markets are completely unregulated. And you can get like 1 to 1,000 margin, right? And so you like, with great power comes great responsibility. Right. So I'd be lying if I said when I first got started, I wasn't blowing up my accounts. I lost 15 grand my first couple years. First year I got into it because I didn't have risk management. I didn't have patience. I didn't learn that trading is 10% buying, 10% selling, 80% waiting. I didn't wait. I was too impatient, right? So my first year was rough. And then I really started to like, oh man, I lost all this money. Now I really got to figure this stuff out. And luckily I made it back and then some, right? The next year. And so yeah, I mean, it's a patience game, man. Like it reminds me a lot about real estate too, because like only 10% of the time you're actually doing the deal. The other 90% of the time you're trying to find the deal, vet the deal, underwrite the deal, get the lending set up. So it's so different, but one and the same. So
Yeah. So you were an early mover with cryptocurrencies. I mean, what kind of drew you in? What intrigued you about it to start so early?
my buddy was, gosh, what was he doing? He's just a computer nerd. He's still my buddy, and he's the one who helped me get into cryptocurrency mining. But this is like the nerdiest computer nerd you'd ever meet. And I was 19 years old, and he's showing me the Silk Road. Are you familiar with the Silk Road from back then?
Yeah.
Right. That's what like kind of spawned cryptocurrency. Was people needed, or that's what it was most used for back then. And he's showing me the Silk Road, and like my mind was so blown, because on the Silk Road you can do all kinds of sketchy stuff. But you were at the time, it got shut down, right? But you were transacting in Bitcoin. And gosh, at the time, a single Bitcoin was probably $200. And so him and I bought a couple together, and sold some of them when it hit $5,000, but forgot about others too. You hold on to some of them, right? And just seeing capital appreciate that quickly at that level at a young age, that's why I became like, all right, man, I'm in. I'm 100% in, right? So
yeah. What would you tell somebody that thinks that it's a form of gambling?
yeah, sure. I would say this. In 2020, PayPal, big, Elon Musk behind PayPal, right? PayPal facilitated about $1 trillion in transactions in 2020. Well, Ethereum did that in about 17 days. So
That's
a little
wild
perspective,
stat.
right?
Yeah.
And then, also, I mean, I just would say, like, a lot of people who do say like, oh, it's gambling, it has no utility, it doesn't have this, that, the other thing. I mean, for every one, example, there's 20 more, but there's a project called VeChain, and it's a blockchain-based project that company is using to clean up the oceans. And I want to say it's probably about 2 months ago, they cleaned out however many hundreds of thousands of pounds of waste out of the ocean using the blockchain technology to track and identify where they need to be cleaning. It's pretty interesting stuff, and there's all kinds of use cases like that. And you can look at the market caps and things of that nature. And I just think at this point, you'd be fairly naive to deny where it's come, right? How far it's come along.
Yeah. I mean, it's become so widely accepted at this point. It's kind of overcoming those hurdles that it's had to deal with the last few years. And if anything, even if you don't necessarily want to invest in crypto itself, I mean, you have to at least believe in the underlying technology. It's going to be used everywhere. I mean, it's like the new internet. That underlying technology, the blockchain, is going to be used in every facet of every industry.
100%, man. 100%. And now you have worldly countries coming out trying to get the World Bank to accept Bitcoin, right? You have big Wall Street hedge funds having far more access to those assets, trading futures and positions on Bitcoin and Ethereum now. So, I mean, now that we've seen big money and come into them, now they're more suspect to market and price manipulation. But I think the underlying point is the adoption.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that there's going to be kind of one singular crypto winner at the end of the day, or it's always going to be kind of new coins coming on the market and fighting for market share?
No, I mean, I think, at this point, Bitcoin is like the old geezer, gold standard, right? Like the technology of it isn't that great anymore. It's expensive to transaction, but it's a good store of value. But for me, like, there's these things called meme coins, like, and they just don't have any real utility and use case scenarios behind the currency itself. And I don't really care about those. I don't really mess with them. So what I look for is simply utility, right? Like, is there an actual purpose behind this asset? Is there an actual team driving it? Is there community behind it? All that good stuff. So I invest in utility. So it's hard for me to have a specific bias, like one's going to be the best, because, I mean, there's such a wide variety and purposes behind a lot of these. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you're gearing up to mine. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I GPU mine. So I'm basically taking, I have 15 very, very high-end graphics cards, right? So if you're a gamer or a video editor, you probably won't like me very much because I'm buying up all your cards, and miners are raising the prices of these cards because they make us a lot more money than they would probably make a typical video editor. I mean, that's just the truth of it, So yeah, you set them up on a rig, and they draw electricity and they print you money, and they mine Ethereum and all these other coins, and it's a nice passive income stream for me. It's actually probably my most profitable passive income stream that I have in my portfolio.
Huh. Interesting, man. I'm going to have to pick your brain about that afterwards, man. Tell us quickly a little bit about, because you also invest in real estate. That's how I got to know you. Tell us a little bit about your real estate investing as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I did my first real estate syndication as an 83 unit apartment building. It's probably 24, 27 now, turning 28 soon. I'm getting old, man. You start feeling it in the morning, you wake up feeling stiff as a board. But yeah, and then we've done a couple more deals since then, and just do the syndication model. I'd like to be at a place where I'm just JVing deals with a couple of guys. Yeah. That's what I'm working towards with my other businesses, producing those other income streams to get my liquidity and net worth to a point where not only can I KP my own deals, but just have a couple buddies and I do deals with them. So that's what I'm working towards.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So we talked about all these different investments you do, creating passive income, real estate, crypto, Forex, everything, man. And it all leads to this. This is what I want to talk to you about, especially because anybody that sees you on social media sees you just doing all this cool shit. I mean, you are out there on the mountains, you are in the desert, you're doing all kinds of stuff. I don't know how you have time to make money and also have all these awesome hobbies, man. You're like James Bond on anything and everything with a motor, man. So let's talk about designing a life. I mean, how have you been able to kind of have these different businesses, create income, and then still do all this cool stuff that you're able to do?
Yeah, for sure. So I really only have 3 active businesses that I focus on: my consulting company, my real estate deals, and cryptocurrency. Crypto doesn't really take a whole lot of time. The mining stuff's fully passive, And in my consulting company, I have a team of VAs that help me and work with me on our projects. I'm still an employee to that business, but I have it really fairly well systematized and automated. So like I said, I am still an employee in that business, but I've removed myself enough to consider myself an owner. And yeah, I mean, the real estate stuff, like I use, so to do my real estate deals and have my value prop on my team, for real estate, I use my consulting company, right? I just do it on my own equity. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I think for me, the biggest 2 things is I I don't like care about like watching like TV or Netflix or like playing video games and stuff. And so in my free time, I'm really like focused on other passive income streams if I'm not out riding like my dirt bike or whatever else. And then also like coming to the point in my other business, my consulting business, that also fuels my real estate business, is just leveraging other people's time and just understanding the simple fact that, you know, if I were to do it all myself, it wouldn't be very profitable. It wouldn't be worth it, right? So like I have to, you know, have good use case on other people's time. And that's when I started hiring folks, building out my systems, building out my automations, and really focusing in, on being a good leader. That part is the hardest part, man. Being a good leader is so hard, especially when you're hiring folks overseas, because you have that communication barrier and that gap.
Yeah, for sure. That's something I work on all the time. I mean, just trying to, that communication barrier is an interesting hurdle that you've got to deal with. I love what you said about creating businesses, systems, operations. Have you read E-Myth, the book?
I haven't.
You haven't read that, man? Well, you sound like the author. I mean, that's what the book's about, man. It's like, don't just start a business and work in the business all the time, and then you're just like putting out fires. It's about writing down everything, figuring out how to systematize everything, put it on a checklist, put it on something so you can teach other people to do it for you at some point, and you can step away from the business and you don't have to be there every day to run it.
Yeah, no, 100%, man, 100%. And I see it all the time. It's quite remarkable, actually. I mean, I've worked with companies that will have somebody manually sending out follow-up emails that could easily be automated. It's like, and that's just one example, right? But I mean, technology has come so far that, I mean, a lot of times the use case for people can be completely eliminated with simple automation tools. And so that's a huge piece in not only in my businesses, but a lot of the folks that I work with. And I think the ultimate thing I've learned from very successful folks, whether they're investors or entrepreneurs, is you come to the point where you're not really focused on making more and more and more money. You're focused on buying back your time and paying less taxes. And that's what I feel like that's what the ultra high net worth focus on, really. And so I'm not saying that's where I'm at, but that's where I have my forefront of my thought process of what I'm doing moving forward. And so, you know, I don't even know how many hours a week I work, to be honest. It'll always vary, and I feel like I'm always working on passion projects that don't feel like work anyways.
Right.
But I never have trouble making time for myself and my hobbies and my passions. I never have trouble. So every single week I'll, you know, be out riding dirt bikes or snowmobiles or whatever, because that's why I got started in the first place, man. Like without it, it's like, what's the point?
Right. So. Yeah. It seems like you intentionally build your business around your life, not the other way around. You have a life that you want to live, doing the things that you love to do, and then you build your business around that. You stay flexible in that regard. Yeah,
man, 100%, 100%. Because that, I mean, like I said, like kind of going back to before, when I saw the level of freedom a lot of these guys had, right, that was on my forefront. Like I knew I wanted that. But the thing about freedom, like having the time freedom, if you don't have a decent level of income, what are you going to go do with your freedom? Go play with rocks? You know, like you gotta have both. You gotta have the system to have both, because like without the toys and all the fun stuff, like what's the freedom going to do for me? Like I gotta stare at the wall all day. Like, so yeah, like it's one of the same for me, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. A lot of our listeners they have the W-2s and they're probably highly paid, probably doctors, lawyers, folks like that. I mean, any advice for them, how they can kind of start buying back their time? I mean, how they start carving out times to go ride dirt bikes in the desert with you?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it's so different for every industry, every corporation. I've personally never like had a job in a corporation or, you know, anything like that. However, one of my really good friends is a multiple six-figure earner doing software sales. And his company wouldn't give him an assistant on payroll. So we hired one for him on his own payroll. And guess what? We outsourced over half his freaking job. I mean, like he all he does is pick up the phone and talks on the phone for a couple hours a day. Right now, he has it's a VA, virtual assistant, handling everything else, all his follow-up, all his scheduling, everything. And, you know, his company does have computer tracking software, and she'll just remote desktop into his laptop and move the mouse and open up some programs and whatever. Like there's so many ways to go about it and like workarounds. And I just would say, like, be creative and like be bold. Success, in my opinion, like success loves boldness. And, you know, it's hard for me to say that because that doesn't mean like go do something crazy and like potentially get fired from your job, but like start to think differently about what you're currently doing and just understand, like, we live in a global economy now, and there's a lot of opportunities and solutions that you can take advantage of to buy back your time. And then, you know, like if you're a high income earner, active income earner, it's so crucial to be putting your active income into something that's producing passive income. Otherwise you're slaved and stuck to that active income. I mean, it's just simple. Like, I have a lot of friends who are high income earners, multiple six figures, and all they have is the house they live in and like some mutual funds, dude.
And a lot of bills.
And a lot of bills, man. Like, so this past weekend, you know, I was out riding my dirt bike and I was with one of them, and he asked me, he said, how much money did you make this weekend while you were out riding dirt bikes with us? I said, well, from my crypto stuff, I probably made $500. From my real estate, I probably made about $300. And I have other passive incomes. Like, I have revenue shares with digital products that I've helped people build. Those bring in a couple $100 every other day. You know, so I made $1,000 that weekend doing
riding dirt bikes.
Doing nothing. Yeah, doing what I love, because I've put the time to put those things in place. And dude, their minds were freaking blown. They didn't believe me. And then I pull up my, you know, my crypto exchange, my Stripe account. I'm like, look, dude, it's right here. I'm not lying. And so, like, yeah, while I'm out having fun, I still am getting paid over and over and over again. And it's just so crucial to buy into that passive income model, and make it a priority. Like, here's the honest truth, dude. Like, I drive a $6,000 truck. I have a $7,000 car, $6,000 truck, you know, $6,000 snowmobile, right? Like, sure, absolutely, I could go get the $100,000 truck, 100%. I don't want it. I want to make money moves, man. I want to keep putting my active income into passive income streams and let the passive income pay for the toys and all the bullshit that I like to do. It's just what it is. So.
Bro, you got it figured out. Like, most people do it the other way around. They jump, you know, they get all this education, like college, traditional education. They jump into, you know, career that they end up hating, and then they, you know, buy all this shit that they don't need, and then they've got all these bills. We call it the golden handcuffs, and you're stuck. And then you're just stuck because it's like, I can't quit this job because it's my only form of income, and I've got all these bills to pay. So I just have to keep doing what I hate doing, and then you end up unhappy. And that's the end of the day. I mean, you just end up an unhappy person.
And the two things about it is, number one, it's not their fault.
Right.
That's how I grew up, dude. So where I grew up outside of Detroit, all you did was go to school for 4 years and go work for GM or Ford, get married, buy the house, have the kids, and that's all you did. And then when you're 40, you can buy a little speedboat for the lake. Like, that is it. That's it, right? And so the fact of it is, Here's the thing, dude. There's a saying where when you get too busy in your business, you should be raising your prices, right? We've all heard that. But here's the problem, right? Is you can't. You're going to keep taking those jobs. You're going to keep taking those clients that you don't necessarily want because you have the note on your truck, on your house, etc. And to take that one step further, when you have all those overhanging debts on depreciating liabilities, the truck is a depreciating liability, right? All that stuff. It makes it really, really, really hard to put yourself in the right psychological headspace to be taking financial risks to create more wealth, right? So my mining operation, $20,000 cash to buy these computers that'll go and make me money every single day. Now, if I had a car note I had to pay every single month, or a note on my toys or anything like that, dude, I never would have felt comfortable taking that kind of financial risk to create another passive income stream.
Yeah.
I just feel like you got to stay lean, man. Like,
yeah, it's about doing it in the right order, right? Like in that
Yeah.
money you make, invested in something that's going to make you more money, then use that money maybe to buy the jet ski with. Yeah. Put that,
no, 100%, man.
even if it's something we're not even talking about, but like investing in coaching or consulting or something that will help you kind of get to that next level of investing or passive income or real estate or whatever it might be. But you know, you've paid tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for a traditional education. Why not pay a fraction of that to teach you something that will actually show you how to make money without having a 9-to-5 job?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%, man. 100%. I think the very first step to get into that right place is to stop caring what John thinks about your truck or your house or what you're doing in your physical materialistic life. Like, realize, like, hey man, I have a plan. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about my car, my truck. I don't care. Right? Like, that's step one, dude, for me at least, because I've gotten it a handful of times, really. Oh, you think you're making money? You're driving that piece of crap truck. I'm like, joke's on you, buddy. You know. So,
Love it, man. Love it. Before we jump into the Freedom 4, one last golden nugget for our listeners. Open-ended question.
That's a tough one. There's so many, you know, that I haven't already said. I would probably just go back to the point of success loves boldness. I'll tell you a quick story. I love cars, like it's my thing. And so sometimes to entertain myself, I'll just go like scroll like Craigslist or Facebook and just see what kind of cars are out there. And I found this McLaren. This was probably about a year ago. It was a McLaren P1. It's like $120,000 car. And in the ad, it said, you know, clean and clear title. So this dude owned this car cash, like flat out, you know. And he was right down the street from me. And so I call him up and I start talking to him about the car. And I eventually get to the point I said, look, man, like, I'm not in a position to buy this car right now. But I just wanted to let you know, like, I really admire the level of success it takes to own something like this, clean and clear. Like, appreciate your time, man. And I eventually asked him out to coffee, right? That dude later on has invested multiple six figures with me, simply because I called him off of Craigslist about his freaking car, right? And so I was telling a buddy this story. I posted on my face. I don't remember exactly what I was telling. And someone's asked me, said, "Well, weren't you worried about him cussing you out or telling you to get out of here because you were wasting his time?" I said, "No, look, if I call him and he cusses me out, I'm in the same place I was before I called him. It doesn't matter." Right? So right. like I think for me and in my experiences in life and in business, like the ones that pay off the most for me are just bold moves that I realized to myself, it doesn't matter what happens. If it doesn't work out, I'm exactly where I am before I did the thing. And I just think a lot of people overthink things. They get worried. they fear that rejection, and the list goes on, but like, just be bold, be yourself, and just do what your gut tells you to do. And I think like all it takes is 1 or 2 wins from doing just that, and you'll feel unstoppable, honestly.
I agree, man. People are just so risk averse nowadays. It's kind of like they think, well, they don't think, they just avoid stuff instead of thinking it through and saying, well, what is the absolute worst thing that's going to happen here if I do this? And then when you think that through and you're like, oh, that's it.
Nothing.
Or I can go back. All right. Well,
It's nothing,
all right. Well,
right?
well, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump into the Freedom 4.
It's time for the Freedom 4.
What's the best thing you do to keep your mind and body healthy?
Wake up, drink 18 ounces of water. Think about everything I'm grateful for. So I typically go out into my garage. That's where a lot of my fun stuff is. And think about how grateful I am, because the simple truth is 3 years ago, I had nothing. I was completely flat broke. And then I'll check my emails and I'll go to the gym.
There we go. There we go. What's one life hack or piece of technology you use to be your most productive self?
Facebook News Eradicator. I do a lot of business on Facebook. I network a lot on my Messenger, so it's always up. However, it's really easy to get lost in the scroll. And so I have a plugin called Facebook News Eradicator, and it just puts like a productive quote at the top of your news feed instead of all of people's stuff. And so that allows me to stay focused and keep at the task in hand with Facebook in the first place.
Nice. I'll have to look into that, man.
It's good.
Yeah. I knew you'd have one that nobody's ever heard of on there.
Yeah.
What's one actionable step our listeners can do right now to start creating more freedom for themselves?
You gotta know where you want to go. You got to envision what success looks like for you, right? Whether that's an extra $100,000 a year or an extra 20 hours a week to spend with your family. Whatever the success looks like for you, you got to know what it looks like to get there in the first place. I think a lot of people just like have this vision, oh, I want the Lamborghini, the massive house, this, that, and the other thing, and they have all these material things, but they don't break it down to what it actually looks like for their day-to-day life. And once you can visualize and know exactly what that looks like, now you can create your roadmap to get there, right? Create the actionable steps of what it's actually going to take to achieve that extra 20 hours a week for your family. What can you thin out in your life? And have that focus with the end in mind to know why you're doing it in the first place.
Yeah. Last but not least, how has passive income made your life better?
Oh my gosh, man. I don't even know how to say. It makes everything better. It makes everything better, because we like this, the truth is, like, we should all have days where you wake up and you decide, I don't feel like working today, and you should still get paid, right? Like, you should still get paid while you sleep, while you play, while you eat. Everything you should do, you should be making money. And it's hard for me to like think it should be any other way. So I can't put it in one word. It's changed my life in every single way imaginable. And I am so grateful and just so blessed to be at a point in my life where at 27, I have enough passive income where I could just quit and just be good. And it's taken a lot of time and dedication and risk to make that happen. But I just would say that just buy in and fully understand that passive income will change your life. And once you buy into the model, start taking action on it, and you'll be there within a couple. You'll have significant passive income. You should, if you take action on it, within a couple years,
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Thanks for coming on the show today. We're going to let's find out more about you.
Find me on Facebook at Chad Wittfeldt.
Simple enough, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. Chad's been a good friend of mine for a long time. Happy to have you on, man. Have a great one.
Appreciate you having me, man.
All right, brother. My man, Chad Wittfeldt, always a pleasure, always living life to the fullest. Love learning about how he builds his life around his business by preserving his freedom, flexibility, and fun. Major key, understand yourself and what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what makes you who you are. Be uncompromising when it comes to enjoying your life and making time to do things you love with the people you love doing them with. Remember why you got started in the first place. Life is too short not to. All right, let's start buying back some of that precious time. Let's start building some alternative passive income streams together. Go to passiveincomeattorney.com and join our Esquire Passive Investor Club. Until next time, folks, enjoy the journey.
Thank you for listening to the Passive Income Attorney Podcast with Seth Bradley. Do you want more ideas on how to generate multiple streams of passive income? Then jump over to passiveincomeattorney.com for show notes and resources. Then apply for the private Facebook community by searching for the Passive Income Attorney on Facebook. And we'll see you on the next episode.